VSiN Weekend Morning Line on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Final hour here on the VSiN Sports Betting Network alongside Marc Malusis. I'm Ariel Epstein for the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. We had 3 hours here on the show. So if you are like my parents who have probably been listening the whole 2 hours so far, good for you. Hopefully we've given you some winners. We've had some great guests, and we've got the NBA playoffs starting tonight, the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs starting today. Sorry, I keep saying tonight. The NBA playoffs start at 1 p.m. Eastern time. We've talked a lot about these earlier games, though, Marc. We've really not touched on the Lakers and T-Wolves yet.
No, we have not. And I think it's going to be, I think it's an interesting series. We hit upon it briefly a little bit earlier. You look at the size, and I think you were looking at the Rudy Gobert prop. You brought that up in example when we were talking about with Rick Kamala a little bit earlier last hour, Ariel. I think it's a fascinating series because I think the Lakers have transformed themselves after the Luka trade, and why not? When you look at what LeBron is doing now, playing more off ball, allowing Luka to have the ball in his hands. I think Redick, as much criticism as he got for getting the job, and obviously was a great basketball player, great shooter at Duke, legendary college player, and what he did as an analyst and then becoming a head coach. He's done a marvelous job this year with the Los Angeles Lakers. And, they take on a Minnesota team that, Anthony Edwards is unbelievable. He's not the next Michael Jordan. We know that. They traded Karl Anthony Towns. They brought in, Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle during the offseason in that big trade with the New York Knicks. Is this a better version of the Minnesota Timberwolves? We'll see. But I think the Lakers, just like one of those public teams, they're a big brand team when you look at the NBA. Comparatively speaking, the Dodgers, the Yankees, big brand teams when you look at Major League Baseball. A lot of public money is going to be going on the Los Angeles Lakers because it's LeBron, it's Luka, stars win in the NBA, and you believe in Los Angeles a little bit more. And, I take them in the series. I don't think Minnesota's winning this series. I take them in game one. I love the way that this team has evolved after the Luka trade. I love the fact that the team has rallied around Luka after his emotional trade from the Dallas Mavericks. I think this is a Laker team that can do some damage in these Western Conference playoffs. I don't think there's any question about it, as long as they stay 100% healthy, which is always an if when you're talking about playoff series. But if they do, especially in this opening round, I really like the Lakers. And obviously, when you're looking at the series price, they're minus 195 to win the series. You're laying 2-1 in order for Los Angeles. I would never bet the Minnesota Timberwolves in this series.
Lakers are laying 4 tonight with a total of 217. The star himself, LeBron James, he spoke to the media this week and said he definitely does not take these playoff games for granted.
I mean, it's a blessing. I don't take it for granted to be able to play in the postseason at my age and how many years I've played in this game. So to be a 1 of 16 teams, to go in with this team and know what we're capable of, all you can do is ask for is a chance to be able to compete at the highest level and be able to compete for the ultimate thing, and that's the Larry O'Brien trophy. So, you just don't take it for granted.
Bettors don't take it for granted either. If you look on DraftKings, the handle and the money, handle and money are the same. Handle and bets are 76% handle, 82% bets coming in on the Los Angeles Lakers money line, 62% handle, 66% bets coming in on Lakers laying 4. And the over is an amazing 86% money and 84% bets. So people loving all the public sides here. LeBron and the Lakers and Luka, spread, money line, and the over, Marc.
Yeah, and I would go with the public. I really would, and I can understand that. And I think for LeBron, he's a little rejuvenated. Listen, he's an unbelievable player, and we're all lucky to be able to watch. And I understand he's got his critics, Ariel, across the media and the NBA and all that kind of stuff. But when you look at him as a basketball player and what he has done for the game of basketball, his impact is unquestioned. I think the Luka trade rejuvenated him, because I think he looked at the team, and I think they were good with Anthony Davis. I think with Luka, and we know this in sports, special players. And I don't care about 10 years from now. I don't care about how Luka's taking care of his body in the here and now. Luka Doncic gives the Lakers a better opportunity to potentially win an NBA championship. And I think at this stage of his career, I think that's what LeBron's all about. You know, he's already the all-time scorer, passing Kareem. He's accomplished so much. He's done so much internationally. There's nothing that LeBron has not done on a basketball court. I think the goal now is to try and put the Lakers in the best possible position to win. I think he feels good, better about the Lakers now in this scenario than he has about the Lakers in quite some time. So Luka and LeBron is a special combination, especially the way that LeBron has altered his game to make way for Luka. And I think he made the right decision because of where they are at their respective stages of their career. And I think it enables LeBron to be a little bit better defensively, not having the ball in his hands, not as taxing. You know, he's not 30. You know, he's older. He's been in the league 20 plus years. This is a Laker team that I think goes into it. And it's a very public team, but I think the public is right. I think they're very dangerous going into the Western Conference playoffs.
Since Luka came to LA, here's how the two of them have done together. So Luka averages about 26 points a game, about 8 rebounds and 7 assists. LeBron averaging about 24 points a game, 8 rebounds and just under 7 assists. So if you compare those numbers, Luka's props 28.5 on the board, LeBron 24.5, so pretty spot on there. When it comes to rebounds, that's where things get a little interesting for me. And not even on the Lakers side, so I'll get to that on the T-Wolves side in a second. But Luka's at 8.5 rebounds. LeBron's at 7.5 rebounds. And then for assists, Luka's at 7.5 assists. LeBron's at 6.5. Just for everybody to know about those two. But Marc, what I talked about earlier was Rudy Gobert. So Gobert is going up against this relatively small Lakers team. I don't really trust someone like Jackson Hayes to go up against one of the best defenders in the league. Gobert's prop was at 10.5 earlier this morning, and it was definitely wrong because now I'm seeing 12.5. So I knew, see, this is where you mess up because I was rushing to get on air, and I was like, damn, that Rudy Gobert number at 10.5 is pretty silly. 12.5, though, is very interesting for Gobert in a playoff situation, trying to make a statement in LA. I could see him getting pretty tough down below and grabbing boards against someone like a Jackson Hayes. Like, I don't really see it. There's really not much size on this Lakers team.
No, it's not, right? And so it could work in favor, it could work against, right? So I agree with you. I mean, listen, at 10.5, you feel like that's an easy bet. 12.5,
yeah, it was
I mean,
minus
it makes you think a little bit.
I was like, I'll lay 150 on that. Damn.
Right. I can understand that. Now at 12.5. Now the interesting rub to that would be, do the Lakers' size when you're looking at matchups as this game goes along, and specifically how this series goes along, does it become beneficial for the Minnesota Timberwolves to keep Rudy Gobert on the court? Like, can the Lakers, because of their matchups? Right. So that's the issue. Like, you look at Julius Randle. Julius Randle is going to be a key to this series defensively when you look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? Because he's going to be a guy that's going to have to deal with Luka Doncic. Now, can he be able to deal with him? Probably not, right? We're all familiar with Julius Randle's game. Now he's tough, he's physical. As long as he stays healthy, we know what Randle can and what he can't do. I'm interested to see. I agree with you. You look at it and you say, well, Rudy Gobert should be able to grab because of the smallish nature of the Los Angeles Lakers, but then you get to scheme and you get to lineups. Do you get to a scenario here where Rudy Gobert becomes an issue defensively for the Minnesota Timberwolves based on the matchups that the Los Angeles Lakers present offensively?
Coming up in just under an hour, the NBA playoffs begin with the Milwaukee Bucks taking the floor against the Indiana Pacers. I saw Underdog post this stat about Giannis Antetokounmpo scoring against the Pacers in the last 5 seasons. Giannis is averaging just over 35 points, just under 13 rebounds, and just under 7 assists against the Pacers in the last 5 years. So looking at Giannis's number for his props right now, Giannis's points prop is currently sitting at, and of course now my mouse decides to go slowly, Giannis is at 31.5 points. And now remember, I just said he averages 36 against the Pacers. When you look to Giannis's rebounds, his rebounds is at 12.5, and his assists, Giannis, is at 7.5. Marc, what would you think about Giannis and his overs against the Pacers today?
Yeah, I would take the overs. I would take the over in points. That's the one that I'd be most comfortable with. We touched upon this series a little bit earlier, Ariel, and I think it's going to be an offensive-minded series. Like, Rick Kamala joined us last hour, and he said, well, Dame Lillard's coming back from blood clots. They're trying to ramp him up, work him up, and get him back at some point in this series. My question is, Okay, that's great. What version of Dame Lillard are you going to see for the Milwaukee Bucks, right? And then you look at Milwaukee, are they really this great defensive team when you look at it? No, they're really not. You look at Indiana, the way Halliburton has ramped up his game in the last, toward the tail end of the regular season. They're deep. You look at, Siakam, McConnell, all the things that we saw from Indiana a year ago. I just think they're a better basketball team. Now, back to your point about Giannis. Do I think Giannis is going to get his points in this series? Yes. Do I think Giannis can go out there and score 35 against Indiana today, 36 against Indiana today, and the Pacers still win the game? Yeah, I don't think there's a correlation. Now, if you're telling me Giannis is scoring 48, 50 points, well, then that's going to be a problem for Indiana in this series. I don't think he gets there, but I would be very comfortable taking over the points.
I like Giannis against the Pacers. I just don't see anybody in Indiana who is going to be able to take Giannis. There is no way. And you've got so much size over there in Milwaukee. So I don't want to hear it. I think that the Bucks are a very good bet, whether it's to upset the Pacers in the series or to win this game or to just take the points, whatever. I just like the size advantage that Milwaukee does have and, of course, the experience. VSiN fans, it is time to plan your Vegas getaway. Circa Las Vegas owner Derek Stevens, he is offering you 15% off at 3 incredible properties: Circa Las Vegas, the D Hotel, and Golden Gate. Whether you're lounging by Circa's stunning rooftop pool or enjoying all the excitement Vegas has to offer, you'll save big with this promo code VSiN15. Book your stay now at circalasvegas.com and use VSiN15 to get 15% off. Your Vegas adventure starts here. Speaking of Vegas, Matt Youmans going to join the show, host of VSiN PrimeTime. We're going to talk all things NBA playoffs, all things NFL draft. Stay right here. It's the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
You're tuned in to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
It's the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. Alongside Marc Malusis, I'm Ariel Epstein, taking you to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Joining us now, we've got to talk all things NBA playoffs. The NFL draft is this week, so who better than the host of VSiN PrimeTime himself, Matt Youmans, joining the show. You can catch him here Monday through Friday, 7 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Matt, I haven't seen you since you said I was throwing all different seltzers at people's faces on the golf course for some golf tournament.
Yeah, it's been a while, Ariel. Marc, great to be on with you this morning. When are you going to come back out to Vegas, play golf, hit Stadium Swim? You got to hit Stadium Swim this summer.
I know Derek's probably very angry that Kelly in Vegas and I have abstained from Vegas. Well, she was just there. I got the flu after the Super Bowl when Vegas hosted last year, so I have completely removed myself from the premises. But we've got a big week actually ahead with the NFL draft on Thursday. How much are you expecting Vegas to be flocked with NFL fans just for the draft?
Well, I'll tell you what, the NFL draft's been a great thing for bettors for the last 6 or 7 years. It has not been a great thing for bookmakers like Derek Stevens, a casino owner who doesn't want his sports book to really post much on the NFL draft. Circa did put up some props, about 20 draft position props for players 2 days ago. Now, I love betting the NFL draft. I've always loved this event. And I have found 7 or 8 plays I've made here on the draft, and I put out my mock draft, which you can find at VSiN.com right now. And I think doing a mock draft helps you work through the entire exercise of team needs, where players fit, where players are going to fall, and it helps you a lot of times bet these props. And that's why I do the mock draft every year. And I'm looking forward to it. I think the Raiders are probably going to go with Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty at number 6. But there's been some talk maybe the Patriots grab him at number 4. The Jaguars do at number 5. Anyway, I think Jeanty's going to be off the board fairly early. Not that I agree with that necessarily, taking a running back in the top 6, but I think that's what the Raiders are going to do. And this draft is going to be really intriguing on Thursday night after the 3rd pick, because I think we know what the first 3 picks are going to be Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, and then Abdul Carter, the linebacker from Penn State, probably to the Giants at number 3. Ariel, I don't think the Giants are going quarterback at number 3. I'd be really surprised if that's what happens.
Matt, I want to ask you, of the 7 to 8 bets positions you already have in the opening round of the NFL draft, which one's your favorite?
I'm going to go Jackson Dart, quarterback from Ole Miss, to be the second quarterback selected at plus 200. That was one of the first bets I made. I'm not sure Dart's going to go number 9 to the Saints, but I think he's going to go before Sanders. I've also got a bet on Shedeur Sanders to go to the Steelers at plus 550. And I'll tell you another bet I made yesterday, and that's a position of the Steelers' first draft pick to be a quarterback at plus 225. Steelers pick 21st. I don't know if they're going to trade up a little bit or if they're going to stand pat at number 21, but there's 3 quarterbacks they are rumored or reported to like: Sanders, Dart, and Jalen Milroe, quarterback from Alabama. So I actually like Steelers to draft a QB with their first pick at plus 225. Dart to be the second quarterback selected. I played Dart's draft position under 24.5. I played Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas, under 17.5 on his draft position. I also played Golden to be the first wide receiver selected at plus 200. And I think the Cowboys are a great candidate to take Golden at that number 12 spot. And I think he's going to go before Tedoroy McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona. So those are some of the draft bets I think I like most at this point.
Matt Youmans, host of VSiN PrimeTime, joining us. Switching over to the NBA playoffs, which starts in less than an hour. What do you like on the slate tonight, Matt?
Not too much. Typically, I don't bet the first game of NBA playoff series. A lot of times I like to jump in after the first game and kind of play a form of the zigzag theory. So I'm trying to resist playing game ones. But I'll tell you what I bet in terms of some series. I did play the Rockets over the Warriors plus 170. And I've been a big Warriors fan the second half of the season because I bet them to make the playoffs at minus 115 at the All-Star break. And the Jimmy Butler trade was obviously crucial to that because Warriors were a different team with Jimmy Butler. However, I think running into a tough matchup here in the West number 2 seed being the Rockets, this team did not win 52 games of smoke and mirrors. The Rockets are a legit team. They got a mix of veterans and young players. They're a really tough, physical defensive team that's going to give Golden State some problems. I watched the Rockets beat up the Warriors 106-96 on April 6th in San Francisco. Amen Thompson held Stephen Curry to 3 points in that game, 1 for 10 shooting. The only field goal Curry made was a 35-footer before the halftime buzzer. So when you're talking about a small ball Warriors team going up against a bigger, more physical Rockets team, I think the Warriors get way too much respect on this line. It opened around Warriors minus 200 for the series. Now, I think that's a lot of that is based on their playoff experience because you got Curry, Butler, Draymond Green, 3 veterans who've been there and won big this time of year. And the Rockets, a young team that needs to pay their dues, haven't got over the hump yet. But we're still talking about a first-round series. And when you've got Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, a couple of veterans with playoff experience, I think this Rockets team is capable of winning this series, or at least pushing it to 7 games, and then we'll take our chances. But I don't see any way that the Rockets make this, or the Warriors make this a quick series where they win in 5 or 6. I think the Rockets win the series, but at least if I get to the 7th game at plus 170, I'm in a pretty good position. So that's one series bet I like. And I'll tell you another one quickly. This series gets started today, and I know JVT of VSiN and me are going to be on opposite sides here. He loves the Clippers, and I understand why. They're 17-3 in the last 20 games, and the Clippers have, Kawhi Leonard and James Harden playing much better in recent weeks. Norman Powell, Ivica Zubac are going to be tough matchups for the Nuggets. But the one thing I like about the Clippers the most, Jeff Van Gundy's done a great job transforming that team's defense this season. I thought he was a great hire as an assistant coach. Denver's weakness, it's defense, no doubt about it. And the key for this matchup for the Nuggets is going to be Jamal Murray. He's coming back. He's going to have to outplay James Harden. You got to have your point guard. You got to have the better point guard on the floor, and Jamal Murray's got to be that guy. Hopefully, coming back from injury, he's ready to get that done. But hey, I'm going to bet on Nikola Jokic. The Joker is the best player on the planet. He's basically an underdog with home court advantage. I think this series goes the distance. I bet Denver in 7 games over the Clippers are plus 390. So you're going to have a big plus price if this goes 7 with the Nuggets at home, and I like that bet. So I'm going to go Rockets and Nuggets as 2 of my favorite plays here in the NBA playoffs first round.
Matt, I love the Stanley Cup playoffs. Curious when you're looking at either game ones or series, anything that strikes your fancy when you're looking at the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Well, I think Colorado is going to take out Dallas in the first round. And let's say I'm not a puckhead. All right, I'm not a big hockey bettor, but I watched enough of it to tell you that Colorado over Dallas in the first round is going to be a big bet. And take the Vegas Golden Knights over the Minnesota Wild in that series, and consider playing Vegas in a sweep or Vegas to win in 5 games, because I think that's going to be a short series. The Knights got everybody healthy now. They're playing their best hockey. They're going to be a big threat in the West. I like the way the LA Kings are playing too, but I'll say the best bets I would point out right now: Colorado over Dallas and Vegas in a short series in 4 or 5 games.
Anything on the slate tonight that stands out to you, Matt? We've got about 30 seconds. Just any sport.
Ariel, I want you to tell me your best baseball bets, because I'm going to put them on a round robin today. So what do you got? You playing the Yankees-Rays game?
I like Cookie Carrasco to go under his strikeout prop tonight, because if you think I'm going to trust Cookie Carrasco on the road, that is a hell no. I'll tell you this, though, and I've been bragging about this trend, so I'm going to keep riding it till it dies. Chad Patrick, Milwaukee's righty, he's facing the Athletics, and the Athletics, 15 of the 18 righties to face the A's have gone under their strikeout prop this year. So you got to follow that trend, Matt.
All right, I just wrote it down. You're going to play it tonight. Thanks for the tip.
All right, best of luck. If it loses, I never talk to you
Thanks,
about
Matt.
betting again. Matt Youmans, make sure to check him out at VSiN PrimeTime, Monday through Friday, 7 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We're here on the VSiN Sports Network, and NBA playoffs are here, and so is the VSiN Killer Sports NBA Playoff Challenge. We've invited 15 sharp minds from the world of VSiN and Killer Sports to go head-to-head, making 38 picks each from the start of the playoffs all the way through the NBA Finals. And that's a total of 570 NBA playoff picks, all available to VSiN Pro subscribers. Picks are locked in 1 hour before the first game each day, so you'll have fresh insights every day. Full VSiN Pro access through August 1st for just $59. We'll be right back here on VSiN.
You're tuned in to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
Back here on the VSiN Weekend Morning Line alongside Marc Malusis. I'm Ariel Epstein. Joining us now, Thomas Gable, sportsbook director at Borgata in New Jersey. He has taken us behind the counter. Okay, I was told we have an animation for that, but I guess we don't. So I'm going to stop. Yeah, I'm going to stop the dead air and just go to Thomas. Thomas, I'm really excited to have you on, because earlier today we had Chuck Esposito, who's out in Vegas. He told us in the NBA playoffs that their major liabilities are Golden State and the Los Angeles Lakers. No surprise, they're out west. For us out east, you at the Borgata in New Jersey, what would you say your biggest liabilities are in the NBA playoffs?
Yeah, no surprise. Since we're on the other side of the country, we're opposite them, and we're actually pretty big winners to the Lakers and Warriors in the West. So the Western Conference for us, the Western Conference futures, we're in good shape pretty much on everybody. Small loser to OKC, but everybody else we're in good shape for, and certainly when it comes to the NBA championship. Now in the Eastern Conference, different story. Really, you've had 2 teams that have played head and shoulders above everybody else this year during the regular season, that being Cleveland and Boston. And they've been taking money throughout the season, preseason, in the futures. And then when you add in on top of that our vicinity to New York, we have a large New York customer base here in Atlantic City. So the New York teams are always very popular in the futures market, no matter the sport. and no matter the outlook on them. But the Knicks certainly have been taking money as well. So we lose to the Boston Celtics in the East. We lose to the Knicks. Cleveland, we're sort of at a break-even point, and pretty much everybody else that's in the playoffs there in the Eastern Conference, we're in very good shape with. But Boston has just been pounded throughout the season in their futures, and even though they've been the favorites, it didn't really seem to matter. Bettors just continued to bet them.
Thomas, what about OKC out west in terms of liability?
Yeah, OKC, small liability on them to win the West. We're in very good shape, though, in the title odds with OKC. So, and again, they're really the only little liability that we have in the West is on OKC, but it's nothing much, and certainly something that we can probably work out as we get into the playoffs.
Where have you seen the biggest line shifts, whether it's a series or a game in the NBA playoffs?
Well, you saw a movement there in the Pacers-Bucks series. We opened that Pacers for the series where you had to lay $2. And then a couple days ago, the Damian Lillard news came out that he was going to play at some point in this series, probably not today, probably not game 2, but at some point. Now, the Bucks also kind of have a history of not being super truthful with their injuries and player availability. If you go back, but you did see a line move then with that announcement. So now the Pacers are laying $1.75 for the series. And, overall two-way betting, it's been good two-way betting on the series price there in that series. And it's been good for game 1 here today. And that's the first game that's going to be tipping off here in less than 30 minutes. And you really, again, you're not going to see Lillard here today. But what isn't talked about a ton, this Bucks team seems to, at least to me, is better defensively without him. Now, the Pacers really don't have anyone who can defend Giannis. Really, for game 1, you've seen the number go between 5.5 and 6. But again, it's been pretty good two-way action on this game. And I really don't have much of a decision currently as we get pretty close to tip.
Thomas, I want to ask you, comparatively speaking, when you look at the NHL, West Coast, East Coast, in terms of sports books, no Rangers, no Islanders, no Bruins in the Eastern Conference in the postseason. You do have the Devils, but Jack Hughes is not there. Their big superstar after he was lost to the season with an injury. What about handle and liability when you're looking at the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, we're in pretty good shape. Again, it's really our liability in the futures for the NHL. It was all Rangers. We always draw Philly action as well. I mean, so obviously no Flyers as well in the playoffs. But the handle increases as we get into the playoffs. Hockey is kind of the fourth sport of the main 4 in terms of handle during the regular season, but it does increase as we get into playoff time. And certainly having the Rangers not in it or the Islanders not in it, it's not going to necessarily help us here because we got last year, for instance, with the Rangers run. That was they were heavily bet every game here, and pretty much a big decision on every game. So we'll see how it goes this year without some of those closer to home teams, so to speak. And as the Devils are in it, but I don't know. It's just when you compare sports, the NHL, it's always kind of the the redheaded stepchild of the 4, and it just NBA takes center stage right now for us. The Northeast is a huge basketball market in general, whether it's NBA or college basketball, and NHL just kind of it comes in underneath of that. So I'm hopeful that we'll see some good handle. It probably won't be quite what we got to last year with the Rangers in it, but time will tell.
Sportsbook director at the Borgata out in New Jersey, Thomas Gable, joining us here on VSiN. Thomas, when it comes to the NFL draft, pretty much every odds maker that I've spoken to hates it. They all are actually putting up their markets extremely late these days compared to what it was 5-6 years ago when we started to expand on the market. When you're watching the NFL draft on Thursday, what's something you're going to be rooting to happen?
For it to get over quickly, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's
Rip the Band-Aid
it's
off.
not something. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not something we enjoy. And as you said, probably 5-6 years, that was the high watermark for draft betting in this country. It's continuing, I think, to decrease year over year. The number of books posting draft props is going down. I mean, there's some places who don't even bother booking it anymore. And I think just places have come to the realization, hey, you're not going to win on this consistently. I think I've won 2 years total in the NFL draft.
Hey, that's
and
better than
wins.
some other places.
Yeah, better than some other places, but it's just something. It's very difficult when you're dealing with a complete information-based market, and there's no competition being played afterwards. I mean, we know information shapes markets all the time in sports betting, but there's always a competition played after that, and that makes the decision. There is no competition, so it's strictly information-based. And the other thing, there isn't a ton of recreational money in draft betting. So you're seeing the amount of props available continue to decrease. And I think, again, when you're looking at this, if you want to book the draft, if you're continuing to book the draft, you really just have to look at it from, do you want to offer a very limited menu, maybe take a little bit more per bet, or do you want to offer a more expansive menu and offer very small limits? And, you know, a lot of places for the draft, you know, you're only going to get $50 or $100 down on a bet. That's just the way that it goes. You don't want to become overexposed on anything. And like I said, without a lot of recreational money in the pool to play with, it just makes it difficult. So, you know, for us, it's the stuff that you do see recreational players kind of going towards are the more of the local teams, so to speak. So if you put up some draft props around the Philadelphia Eagles or the Giants. So, for instance, the Giants are picking third this year currently. So you have Abdul Carter there is the favorite now, -$6 to go third. But that's where they kind of tend to gravitate towards. But I think just the more things you put up, there's more chance of exposure there to get hit. And you're more than likely not going to win at the end of the day.
Thomas Gable, Sportsbook Director at the Borgata in New Jersey. Thank you so much for taking us behind the counter, and good luck this weekend. Good luck this week with the NFL draft and all the playoffs going on.
All right. Thanks so much.
Mark and I are coming down to the wire here. We have the last 20 minutes of the show. Our best bets are finally coming up in the next segment. Mark, I can't believe how fast this 3 hours has flown by.
It's flown by, no doubt about it. But this is honestly, Ariel, like this is one of the best times on the sports calendar. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, you got baseball going on. This is as good as it gets. I can't wait to sit back, relax, and watch some action today.
I thought you were about to say it's one of the best shows you've ever been on, but okay, I'll take it.
It is. Well, that's true, too.
We're going to be right here to close out the show on the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. Stay right here for Best Bets coming up next.
Tuned in to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
Here's our final segment here on the VSiN Weekend Morning Line, alongside Marc Malusis for the last 2.5+ hours. I'm the prop queen, Ariel Epstein. We're going to get to best bets in a little bit. Marc, I have one massive regret, like beyond massive regret of this NBA season. It is my biggest regret so far. So I was on NBA TV right before the All-Star break. We had a segment about futures. They said, looking at the Eastern Conference, who would you bet on to win the NBA Finals? I said, at 10-1 or 11-1, the Cavs look so intriguing. Like, how do you not bet the Cavs at 11-1? Now, I know we've got trust issues with the Cavs when it comes to the playoffs, but I was like, that's a great bet for this team. I think that they can make a run this year with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell and the size they have with Mobley and Allen. And then I'm watching this number after the All-Star break just dwindle and dwindle. And it's like 9-1, 8-1, 7-1, 6-1. And you would think I'd be excited about it, except I didn't bet it. I never bet it because I do have trust issues with the Cavs. But at 11-1, I could have been in on the Cavaliers to win the NBA Finals. So now I'm going to probably go watch the NBA Cavaliers make it to the NBA Finals. And I gave it out on air, so I really hope other people tailed it because
I'm stunned. Ariel, I'm stunned. I mean, you're all over these things. Like, I'm stunned. 11-1 is a great number, by the way. When you look at it, you know, the Cavaliers are right now plus 190 to get through the East. And, you know, I got to be honest with you, like, that's decent value when you look at the Cavaliers. And there is this distrust in Cleveland. And I understand that Boston's another very public team and they're defending NBA champs. But, you know, given the fact of the season that Cleveland had during the course of the regular season, given the fact of the concern about Jaylen Brown and his knee to an extent, the year that the Cavaliers had, I love Kenny Atkinson as coach. Donovan Mitchell, easy guy to go out there and root for. You mentioned Darius Garland, what they're able to do. They've learned from the past failures. I think they're extremely well coached. I am stunned that at 11-1, Ariel, that you did not put even like $10, $20, whatever it might be, just to get yourself in the game. And you'd even do that. Now you're watching them watch Cleveland go out there and win the NBA title.
I could have put $100 down on the Cavs and not had to work today, because if that was the money I made, like, it would have paid for today's day of work, to be honest. So, nope, I decided to just be miserable and work harder for my money. So I'm going to do a show for 3 hours, but it's fine. I'm really glad to be here. I'm really glad that I'm going to have to work the rest of my life because I decided to not bet good bets that I give out to everyone else who probably bets it. That being said, we do have best bets to give out today, and we do have to make people money. And I hope to make myself some money, too. What are you looking at on the board tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. The NBA is kind of what I really like, and there's a couple things in hockey, one thing in Major League Baseball, but the NBA, we hit upon it earlier on. Let's go down in chronological order, right? Let's start with the first game. You know, I like the Indiana Pacers laying the 6 against the Milwaukee Bucks. To me, that is a smart play. We'll see Lillard at some point during the course of this series. We're not going to see him at the start of the series. We talked about the Giannis props. You mentioned it. I think that's a great point by you, Ariel. I think he can get his points, but I still think Indiana is the better basketball team. I do. So I would take the Pacers today. I like them in these series as well. And I would take Indiana laying the 6. Second game on the slate this afternoon as the NBA playoffs get going. The Clippers in Denver taking on the Nuggets. Los Angeles getting 2.5 on the road. The total in the game right now is sitting at 225. I'm on the Clippers bandwagon. Rick Kamala joined us earlier on the program. You know, I'm buying into that Clipper hype. I am. The way that they closed out the regular season. You mentioned Powell being an X factor in this series. You know, I'm not telling you I'm a Harden guy. I'm not a James Harden guy. I am a Kawhi guy. When he's focused and when he's healthy, I think he can affect the team and impact the team on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. I like the Los Angeles Clippers plus the 2.5 today on the road in Denver. The Knicks and Pistons, very similar. Like, I don't love the game. If I had to play, and I'm not drinking the Knick Kool-Aid on this Saturday morning, it gets going at 6:00 in Madison Square Garden. I do like the Knicks in the series in 6 games. I don't think we get to a 7th game. Detroit won 3 of 4 during the course of the regular season. You know, there are issues when you look at this Knick team defensively. Cade Cunningham was an issue during the regular season matchups. Jalen Brunson, it's been more of an issue easing him back in after missing 15 games with that ankle injury. I would lay the 7.5. I understand those that would take Detroit plus the 7.5. The inexperience, I think, comes into play tonight. Playing in front of that crowd at Madison Square Garden, I'm more comfortable taking the Knicks laying the 7.5. And then later on tonight, you know, you've got the Lakers, and it's LeBron, and it's Luka. And the Lakers right now, I think the line, unless it is moved, no, the line is still sitting at 4. Lakers are laying 4 at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota's got a size advantage, but I think the Lakers can scheme some of that size out of the lineup when you're looking at this matchup. I like the Lakers laying the 4.5 later on tonight. So a quartet of NBA games, one dog, and that's the Clippers plus the 2.5. But I'll take Indiana laying the 6, the Knicks laying the 7.5. That's probably my least favorite of them, but I do like the Lakers later on tonight laying the 4.5 against Minnesota.
The NBA playoffs has absolutely burned me. I guess it's not the playoffs. It was the play-in. How dare me disgrace the playoffs by calling the play-in games playoffs. But it was brutal for me, especially from a prop perspective. You did say in the NHL you liked something out there in the Stanley Cup playoff.
I would dabble with the Stars, even though they suffered an injury on defense. I would dabble with the Stars in their opening game at home against the Colorado Avalanche. I like one future bet that I'm going to throw out there. You're getting 11 to 12 to 1 right now on the Washington Capitals to win the Stanley Cup. It's one of the 4 teams in the Eastern Conference that can. Obviously, a lot of love for Ovechkin when he passed Gretzky's goal scoring mark in the history of the NHL a couple Sundays ago out at UBS. Capitals are a really good team, really well coached. Goaltending is good enough with Lindgren. I think the Capitals, for the odds, I'm not telling you that. I think for the odds at when you're getting 10, 11, 12 to 1 on a really good Capital team to be able to get through and win a Stanley Cup, maybe this ends up being Ovi's year all the way around. I would dabble in a future on Washington Capitals getting 10, 11, 12 to 1.
Were you at that game? Were you covering it?
I was not. No, I was home watching with my kids. No, I was not. I would love to have been there. It was what a scene it was.
Out there. Come on. Pix 11 should have sent you out there, Moose. Come on. I've got my best bet for today, and of course it's Major League Baseball. Athletics trend, if you just tuned in, it's my favorite trend of the year so far, and the books are slowly catching on. You've got to take unders against the A's. They are barely striking out. 15 of the 18 righties to start against the A's, not the Rays, the A's have gone under their strikeout prop. Today, it's the Milwaukee righty, Chad Patrick. His prop's 4.5. I grabbed it at minus 144 on FanDuel earlier this morning. I'm not sure if it's still there. Patrick has only gone over 4.5 Ks once out of his 4 starts this season. He's a mid-level pitcher, so against the A's who aren't striking out much, take his under. Now for a pitcher that you'll all know his name, at least if you watch baseball. Atlanta's lefty, Chris Sale, at over 7.5 plus 120. I don't mind it. I know it's high. It's already gone up from 6.5. Last year, Sale averaged just over 8 strikeouts a game against strikeout-prone lineups. He has not gone over 7.5 yet this year. However, he had 7 against the Rays and the Padres, and these are 2 teams that barely strike out this year. In fact, you're getting a Minnesota team that's averaging 1.5 strikeouts more a game than both of the teams that Sale had 7 Ks against. And this year, Martin Perez had 9 and Cole Reagans had 11 against the Twins. So I would take the over on Sale. One I haven't mentioned yet today, a strikeout prop in the late game at around 9:40 p.m. Eastern time. Angels righty Kyle Hendricks over 3.5 Ks is minus 135. This number just feels a bit too low for facing the Giants. Hendricks has had at least 4 Ks in 2 of 3 starts, and none of those teams were high K rate teams. Last year, he averaged 4 strikeouts through 11 games against these strikeout-prone teams. The Giants, 12 of the 15 righties to face them, have gone over their strikeout prop, averaging 6 strikeouts a game. Guys, the average is about 4.5 strikeouts for starters. This is 6 for the San Francisco Giants a game. So Kyle Hendricks at 3.5 is just way too low. You've got to stay tuned, though, after the VSiN Weekend Morning Line for Ready, Set, Bet starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Then stick around for Live Bet Saturday for all the live sports in action at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by Cashing Out with Greg Peterson starting at 11 p.m. Eastern. Oh, Greg, definitely for the NBA, that's going to be interesting. He is like a basketball savant. Moose?
No doubt.
It was a pleasure. Last 3 hours.
Ariel,
I hope that you...
I had a great time. This was awesome. Let's do it again. This was an absolute blast. Have a wonderful Saturday. And really, 3 hours absolutely flew by.
I know. And now I'm looking. It's 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The sun is out. It's 80 degrees here in New York. I've got to run outside and enjoy the sun while it's out because it's not going to last long. For Marc Malusis, I'm Ariel Epstein, the Prep Queen. I hope you have a profitable day. Enjoy your weekend.